Here in December 2014, here at Leroy Christian Church, we're looking at a sermon series entitled The Christmas Story Today. And we're starting off by looking at the culture as it tries to sort of retell the Christmas story in its own way through books, TV shows, and movies. In this first week of Advent, we looked at the classic 1964 TV show, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Rankin and Bass. And of course there's a lot of different aspects to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but what we find is that he's an embarrassment to his family because of his so-called deformity. So much so that his dad is almost humiliated and tries to hide it. And Rudolph just feels like a huge misfit. We're also introduced to a bunch of the elves that make toys. One in particular, a young elf by the name of Hermie, who really doesn't like making toys. So not only does he not want to make them better, he doesn't want to make them at all. His dream is to become a dentist. So these two so-called misfits just aren't fitting in, and they feel like they need to run away so that they can carve out their life's destiny. And so we pick them up along the trail where, luckily for them, they've met a guy by the name of Yukon Cornelius. And it's a good thing because they probably would have died in the frozen tundra of the Klondike. But no matter what, they just feel like misfits. And we find them halfway through the show running into a place called the Island of Misfit Toys. And it makes you stop and wonder about this whole idea of misfits. Have you ever felt like a misfit? Have you ever felt like you didn't belong? Have you ever felt like the situation just wasn't fitting you well in your family, at school, in the job, in the marketplace, whatever the case may be? In the Bible, we see that even in the prophecies concerning Jesus, the Messiah, the Anointed One, the Chosen One, that he was looked at, referred to, considered a misfit in many ways. The prophet Isaiah in chapter 53 says this about the coming Messiah. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows, yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. What an adept prophecy concerning Jesus Christ, who would come into the world a few hundred years later, but was certainly considered a misfit. We see that his birth, which we celebrate here during the Christmas time, did not go very smoothly. He and his parents, Mary and Joseph, had to go on a long road trip. There was no room for them when they got to Bethlehem, which they had to go there because of the census that was being taken. And Jesus, in fact, was born not in the inn, not in one of the hotel rooms, but he was born in the stable, which was very likely a cave. So he was considered a misfit there. Jesus was considered a misfit at every stage in his life. I got to thinking about that as we rolled into Christmas time 2014, and I thought there's probably no greater time in the year for misfits to reach out to misfits than at Christmas time. But there are probably a lot of people in our families, in our neighborhoods, or in our world that might feel like a misfit. They might feel like they don't belong. Maybe they're not happy or have kind of a bah humbug spirit when it comes to Christmas. What a great opportunity we have this year in 2014 to shine the light, to share the joy, to demonstrate the love that Jesus brought when he came into this world. And certainly we do celebrate, and we will celebrate the baby Jesus, the newborn King. But let's not forget the powerful man, the incredible, awesome Savior that we serve. And so as we go about our Christmas activities this year, let's do everything in our power to invite people to church, invite people to God's kingdom, and to shine the Christmas light wherever we may go.